To learn the Basalagani and share a kirk for the Kohen to start the Basalagani. But I figured tonight, if it's sometimes it's a Shabbos Yud Shevat, so we end up learning the whole Maimah together. But we'll do a little bit of a Chazorah on the Maimah Basalagani that Rebbe gave in Tov Shin Chof. As you know, the Rebbe every year explained one more ois in the Maimah, and now it's going on 70 years. So we're on the 4th cycle and we're in the 10th Pedic. And the Rebbe, in every one of the Maimorim, which is 40 Maimorim, every time explained that one ois of the Frierdiker Rebbe by bringing a shtickle Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid, the unbelievable. The Alter of the middle of it, it's as if it's like you couldn't understand it without. And 40 Maimorim, it's like, think about this. So we'll just go through the Ik and the Kudus. The first word that Rebbe brings us from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said that what is the biggest problem human beings have? He didn't have. What's the biggest problem? What's the biggest problem? What's the biggest problem we have? The Baal Shem Tov said, had diagnosed the biggest problem. So let's hear it. What's the biggest problem we have? So he said that the problem is like this. The Gemara says a story of Zachariah ben Avkulas. That the story comes to Bar Kamsa is really angry, and he goes to the Romans, and he says to the Caesar, Mordu b'cha Yehudoi, the Jews don't like you, they want to rebel against you. So he said, so show me proof. He said, yeah, I'll show you proof. In the times of the Beis HaMikdash, the Goyim were allowed to send a carbon to the Beis HaMikdash, and the Jews were bring the carbon on the Mizbeach. He said, send with me an offering for the Beis HaMikdash, and you'll see they'll refuse to take it. So he sent a beautiful calf, and when Bar Kamsa came to the Beis HaMikdash, he made a little cut, bedukin sheba'ayin, or some that the goyim understand. You can't send a little limping calf, missing a hand and a leg, a beaten up, skinny little calf. He sent a kelbel. He sent angestopte kelbel. But some good veal he sent to the Beis HaMikdash. But a little cut in the lip. The goyim don't see that as a. It's going to be shechted. It's going to be killed. So it has a little rip on the lip. Oh, they brought the korban. So the kohanim said we can't do it. So it's one of the 70 moment. So they went right away to the Sanhedrin. So the Sanhedrin said, well, this is dangerous. We can't start with the Romans. Let's just bring the korban. It's pikuach nefesh. Zcharia ben Avkula stood up and he said, Yoimru, they'll say, they're allowed to bring mumin l'gabem mizbeach. So Bezin said, you know what, Zcharia, we're not going to argue with you. We have a different alternative eitzah. As I mentioned, they say in Yiddish, when the mekanamachin kids and metakop, it's a pun on words. We'll make him one in Yiddish, a head, a kop. Machen ein kop keretze. They'll make him one head shorter. Look, top of his head. Again. So the guy got up. He said, "What? Yoimru matul mum bekotshim areze yoharig." The Yidden are going to say that a person that makes a mum in the kotshim gets killed. So. Anyway, by the time they finished the deliberations, Bar Kamsa disappeared. He went back to Rome. He went back to the Kesa. The Kesa got angry. There was the beginning of the end of the Churban. Yochanan said, "An vosanusa shel Zachariah chorvas bas mikdashenu." The anivus of Zachariah destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. And that was once in this was in Australia, and the Rabbi Lau, who was then the chief rabbi of Israel, is Peh Mapik Margolius, and he was talking for Israeli secular crowd. And he told over the story, and he said, don't understand. What was wrong with Zachariah? He destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. He said things that made sense. So he said that the Farshim say that the problem is that Zachariah never said his opinion. He said, Yoim, what are people going to say? People are going to say. What do you care what people are going to say? What do you care what people are going to say? It's not nice, you killed someone like this. What do you care what people say? Problem is, sometimes in life we see consequences. We see with our eyes what is the right path in life, and we know what we should do. And Lamai, Yoimru, people say, you're exaggerating. Yoimru, we question ourselves because what others will say. What do you care what people will say? You see it? It's 2020, right? You see it clearly. And you know what you should do in life and what's your tafkid in life. So what do you care, Yoimru? Yoimru, why do you care, Yoimru? Said the Baal Shem Tov that that's the biggest problem that we have. The biggest problem we have is the anivus of Zachariah. The Baal Shem Tov said, if a Yid ever knew how all the oilamas are standing on the shoulders of a Yid, all the oilamas, Yushpa Shefer Abachol oilamas is from the one shtickle Torah I'm going to learn and the Geshmak davening I will have. If I'll get a davening Geshmak, all the oilas, the Malachim, will be fed with unbelievable chayas. And if not, what kind of chayas a Yid would have in his davening? Furthermore, says the Baal Shem Tov, the Chazal say that the Eibishter is waiting to kiss the lips of the Yid that is davening. So the Yid has to think that Melech Godel V'Noid is waiting to kiss my lips. He's waiting to, and so the Rebbeinu Shalom is waiting for me. The Rebbeinu Shalom is waiting for me. The Rebbe says, why does the Baal Shem Tov have to add another nekuda? This is the moshel of the Melech, because heavy Amina, all the oilamas are shaking for me, for my davening. But the Rebbeinu Shalom, I don't care about my davening. He needs my davening. No. Melech Godel V'Noid. There's a whole diuk in the word V'Noid. Noid has to do with big stuff. Noid. You understand by Pashtus when you try. The Baal Shem Tov is saying like Noid is like gasping for words. Like he's trying to emphasize how important it is. Melech Godel V'Noid is waiting to kiss the Yid that's using his mouth for Divrei Torah, Divrei Tefillah. which the Rebbe says goes into the whole thing of the Maimer, that when a Yid's avoid Hashem, it's Istala ki kore de kutshe bricha b'chul almin. When he does his kafya, beats up on his Yetzirah, and does his avodas Hashem. Istala ki kore de kutshe bricha b'chul almin. The pshat in the Zohar is that glory of the Eibishter that's b'chul almin mishaven, that is in the student Atzilus and Bria and Yetzirah, the same thing because it's so awesome. That's the Eibishter himself is Nizgala through the avodas Hashem of a Yid, and that's what the Baal Shem Tov is emphasizing with the second part in his motion. So in the Sikha that the Rebbe had given that year in connection to this Maimer, the Rebbe asked, how could the Baal Shem Tov say that this is the most important thing in life? You ever heard of Anivus? You ever heard Sichas Musa? You never heard of that? A Talmud Chochem should have Anivus. Now the Baal Shem Tov come along and say, we've heard it the opposite all our years. We learned in Yeshiva. We didn't learn it this way. Anivus, where's the place for Anivus? There's a Maimon from the Alter Rebbe in Torah. The Alter Rebbe says that when do we say that a Talmud Chacham has to have a sheminis? The Gemara says it's like a wheat that has a little bit of that originally the wheat has to have something to protect it. Eventually that gets grinded off. The peel gets peeled off. So but Chilas Avodas Hashem Yid has to have a sheminis of a sheminis, 64th of a little bit of gaiva. But what later in Avodas Hashem has to be libi chol b'kirba. This to be totally anova. So, the Rabbi Green class was a mashpia, legendary mashpia in Chabad Yeshiva in Montreal, and he said that before the Rebbe, in other words, in the early years, the first year when the Rebbe was a Rebbe, there was a Yid that was walking in Eastern Parkway, and he saw the Rebbe. He didn't know who the Rebbe was. So he asked him, I hear that over here there is the Beis Medrash of Lubavitcher Rebbe. You know where I can find the Lubavitcher Rebbe? Yeah. So the Rebbe says, why do you need the Lubavitcher Rebbe? So he says, everything I have to tell you. So the Rebbe says to him, but what? There's a Choshev Rebbe that came today to America. What? You need this young guy. So he says, Jinge Mann. He says, die verstehst na Rebbe, wer Jovem versteht na Sukkah. So, okay, you understand about what a Rebbe is, like a Greek understands what a Sukkah is, kosher. So the Rebbe smiled, and the Rebbe showed him where the 770 was. Okay. And he got to 770, and then eventually he got his turn to have Yechidus. It wasn't a very long wait. And he saw the Rebbe. And the Rebbe had a very good laugh. So, there is the Baal Shem Tov says that this is the problem of a Yid, but the Alachoida, how could you say this? I mean, Anova is such an important thing. Anova is 101 in Yiddishkeit. One of the early years, they said that there was a young man that saw that the Rebbe was walking from his house to 770 on President Street, and there was a Yid that was walking with 2 suitcases. The Rebbe passed by, and again, this Yid doesn't know who this young man is. He says, "Young man, could you help me out?" He said, "No problem." So the Rebbe takes one of his suitcases. The Rebbe's walking, and the guy says, "You know what? Even the other one is a little hard. Do you mind take the other suitcase too?" So the Rebbe says, "No problem." And the Rebbe is walking, and it's one of the Bochum. So what's going on? So he walked over behind this guy and he whispered to him. He said, "This is Lubavitcher Rebbe." So he felt very bad. Tried to take the suitcases back, and he said, "I asked Mechila." And the Rebbe smiled and he said, "What? The mitzvah ozav tazav ima. That mitzvah is not for me." So l'chaida, Hanova has a very strong place, and here we say that the problem in our life is that we don't, and it's true, it is the problem. If we ever felt that the Rebbeinu Shalom is mamish waiting. The Rebbeinu Shalom is waiting to kiss us. That we're going to learn a shtickle Torah. The Rebbeinu Shalom is waiting to kiss us. And our tefillah, yeah, we can come, we can roll into shul halfway sleeping. By the time we finish Mahoidav at Kush, by the time we Kush the Siddur, that we're waking up. But no, that we want to daven with Hachayas because the Rebbeinu Shalom really is waiting for it. If we really felt that way, the Taka, if we felt, there was a Yid that said that, Rabbi Benjamin Klein said there was a Yid that had several Yechidas with the Rebbe. He was a Rov. And he met him once, and he told him that the first time he met the Rebbe, he was in Crown Heights, and he was Eastern Part. It was a very Jewish neighborhood. It was a very secular Jewish neighborhood. And the Rebbe, he was walking the other side. The Rebbe called him Younger Man. He said the kids were coming, droves of kids, like after school's over, and the kids were all over Crown Heights. All Yiddish Kinderla. I just had a family in my house. A guy's not very firm. Last time he put on film was his bar mitzvah. And he grew up in Crown Heights in the 50s. And he said, "Oh, that shul Reinitz, the yeshivas Rabbi Reinitz. I was bar mitzvah on Troy. I don't think that yeshiva is still there." I said, "What are you talking about? Sure, that yeshiva is there. Yeshiva is there." He said, "Can't believe it. He wants to go see it." So this place was packed. The Rebbe, he called over this. He said, "Younger man, see all these Yiddish kinderlat, they're all in public school. How could this be that we have to make sure that every kid is in yeshiva?" So, in other words, the Rebbe felt achrayus. He saw a Yiddish kid that's not in yeshiva and in the street. The Rebbe couldn't hold himself back, and he called we have to make sure all these kids. Why did the Rebbe feel? But that's the way the Rebbe felt. If there's another Yid that they don't know what they're missing, but they're sending their kids to public school, that it's my achrayus. It's my achrayus. So that bemis is a tkifus. And the Rebbe, that's what the Rebbe's whole thing in the Maimed is, that from Rabbi Yochanan it sounds, the anivus of Reb Zcharia destroys the Beis HaMikdash. And the stolz of a Yid that rebuilds the Beis HaMikdash. L'choira, these two, how could you say, so the kid said the Rebbe's nakuda was that there's two types, it depends. There isn't a certain avoida where gaiva and anivus are mutually exclusive. So a Yid has to be anonov. A little, sometimes they need a little bit shot in the arm. One of 64 in Gaiv and Stolz. But there is a certain avodas Hashem which they're not mutually exclusive. In Kabbalah things, there's a concept of isnasus al am and isnasus atzmis. If I'm a melech because I'm bigger than the am, so the gaiva and anivus are contradiction. Which one am I? Am I onav or am I a bal gaiva? But if it's isnasus atzmis, nothing to do because I'm bigger because I'm bigger than the other guys. Nothing to do with the other guys. Not because I'm a king over them. It's isnasus atzmis. It's a different thing. So then gaiva and anivus, they're not a contradiction. They're not a contradiction. They're not a they could have both. You can have a full measure of both. They're not a contradiction. Unbelievable part. Rabbi Groner said that in the early years, he got drafted by the Rebbe to work as a secretary of the Rebbe, but there were other secretaries there. And the Rebbe walked in, it was a short time after he became Rebbe, in the office of the Maskiris. If you remember the early years, the place was always. All the years, I wasn't around then, but I know as a kid, was people coming in and out. And the Rebbe walked in, and he saw that one of the Maskirim is arguing with someone on the phone. So the Rebbe made put down the phone. I want to know what's. So he said there was a woman that called, and she said that they had a yechidus by the Rebbe. Her husband is in a critical situation, and or she called, whatever. Anyway, the Rebbe told her that she has to start lighting Shabbos candles. But she doesn't understand. Her husband is in a critical situation. She thought he'll give her medical advice, maybe refer her to a good doctor. But what she wants to understand, what's the connection between her lighting the Shabbos candle and her husband and her husband's refuah? So the Rebbe said that you should tell the woman, look, she called me. She knows that I'm not a medical doctor and I have no medical training. So she has Amunah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that she thinks that the Eibishter gave me the koyach to give a brocha and a eitzah. So this is what I say. and there should be no arguments about this. Just tell her, no vikuchim. If she'll light the Shabbos candles, it will affect her husband's health. And a few weeks later, they got a call on the mosquitoes. The lady said it was miraculous that she started lighting Shabbos candle. Her husband was healed. So you see here an unbelievable thing, and you see it throughout the years that the Rebbe had anivus betachlus and tkifus betachlis, and we're not. There didn't seem to be any contradiction when it came to any issue that touched. Look about shleimus haaretz, about situation in Israel. The Rebbe spoke with such a tkifus. Remember then when the right hand man from Yitzchak Shemek, I remember the Rebbe said, "I will make sure he will fall down from his seat," because the Rebbe was upset that he even agreed to go to Madrid for talks. Tkifus was what came about the fictitious Gaydison in Israel, or about the Rebbe didn't care about what the Lubavitch in America was suffering from. The Rebbe made this whole thing about me Yehudi. In all the cities in America, Lubavitch was suffering. They were coming. Finally, they were taking a little bit roots, and here the Reform and the Conservative or in Israel, the Chabad was starting to. And here the Rebbe didn't care. The Tkifus was unbelievable, but the Anova was unbelievable. The Anova was unbelievable. There's many in the Nesias, throughout the Nesias of the Rebbe. There's many stories that were like Maisa Nisan, that were unbelievable. They were just unbelievable. And you couldn't say it didn't happen. It happened. And there was a few times where the Rebbe were messiachas to these stories and said, "You see, unbelievable, the Nisim of my father-in-law, and you see, my father-in-law is alive." Nisim that were Nisim that like in one of the sichas, I think it's Tafshin Yudala. There's a whole thing that Rebbe said that the Rebbe said, "I'm going to tell a story from the Rebbe the Shver, from my father-in-law." There was a Yid that came. He said that needed a bracha. They didn't have any children. So the Rebbe told a story. I'm not telling the story, Mamish Kedeboy, the whole thing. You can look it up in the Sichas. It's somewhere in the winter, Tavshin Yud Aleph. There was a big tzaddik, his name was Rabbi Yisrael Valednik. And the Rebbe over the years told a few stories about him. And once a chosed came to him, and he asked for a bracha for a child. So he said, "You say this Miras and Shabbos?" He said, "Sure." So he said, you say V'ilan Milaya, Yehoinlir Keyaya, V'saman Mashaya, Alohu Shimsha. I'll tell you the pshat. It's like I have a very, very funny pshat. V'ilan Milaya means silk. Yehoinlir Keyaya, you should take silk material and turn it into curtains. V'saman Mashaya, you'll hang it up in your bedroom. Alohu Shimsha, you'll have a son. Shimsha means a son, as like in Yiddish, Azun and a son. You'll have Allahu Shimsha. Shimsha means a son. You'll some Nazun, some you have a boy. But Chassid heard this. He's no cautious. He went. He ran home. He got the tailor. He made in the bedroom. All the curtains were made out of silk. Next year he had a baby boy. The Rebbe told the story at the Farbrengen. This was a continuation. The Rebbe told the Farbrengen, and then after the next Shabbos, the Rebbe said, "There's a young man here that doesn't understand. Maybe someone can explain to him the nakud of the story." And there was sometime later, the Rebbe said a story on miracle from the Rebbe the Shver, that finally the younger man that heard the story by the Farbrengen got the point, and he did it, and he had a son. It's a story that the Rebbe told. The Rebbe was saying it at the Farbrengen because you do it. That a lot of times at the Farbrengen, people wrote letters, and the Rebbe said, "I already answered you at the Farbrengen." Because at the Farbrengen, a lot of times the Rebbe said things that seemingly didn't flow. Or even if they did flow, but the Rebbe looked at someone, and the Rebbe said things, bechlal u befrat. So the Rebbe told the story, and he said a miracle from the Shur. Rabbi Yochanan told a story recently. They said that there was a Talmud in yeshiva, and he was being drafted for the Korean War, and he was already not so in yeshiva. He was a little. But the guys told him, "Go to the Rebbe, ask for a bracha." He said, he can't help. But he knocked on the Rebbe's door. The Rebbe called him in. He went out. He said, "He had nothing to tell me." So they told me, "Yeah, he had nothing to tell you. You went to the mikveh today?" He said, "No." You made a hachana for Yechidus? He said, no. He said, okay, begapa yove, begapa yetze. That's it. So, that's what happens. Then you go to mikveh, learn a Maimon Chassidus, make a hachana, and try it again. You see if it works. So, he tried. So, next time he knocked at Rebbe's door, the Rebbe said, come in. And the Rebbe was like, he was not surprised that he came back. The Rebbe was like, as if, okay, what's going on? And he said he had a problem with being drafted. So the Rebbe said, so what are you planning to do? So he said that when he was born, his mother said he had a problem with the heart, the valve. The Rebbe said, I don't think it's a good idea. And then so he said, maybe I have an idea. He kept on giving the Rebbe's idea. So the Rebbe said, no, not a good idea. So then so he asked the Rebbe, so what do you say? What should I do? So the Rebbe said, you have any issues with your teeth? He said, no. Your father? He says, no. Any family history, an issue with the teeth? He said, no. Tell him you have a problem with your teeth. So he what's the big deal? A problem with the teeth? And that was it. He was sent out. And he came back to 770 and he told the story. And they said that the Rabbi Yochanan said that the Rebbe like laughed. The Rebbe said, no, mazet bemuchish amoifas from the Rebbe de Shver. In other words, like it was like a practical joke. You're saying you have a. I'll tell you something that that's nishtahin nishtaher. You think you, and it's clearly a nes that you can see it clearly. But the Rebbe said, oh, mazet anes from the Rebbe de Shver. So here you see that it's possible, and you see it in every day. You see in the Rebbe's Avodas Hashem that's possible to be tekifus in an unbelievable way, that a person is not only proud, but a person feels achrayus, that from my Avodas Hashem is kol ha'olamus. And you see every sikha that Rebbe used to start to talk about the kfiyus of this year and this day and what's the gate? This no, because the Rebbe saw that this right now the kfiyus the way it is, and all the olamus are now being affected the way if it's 3 days it's Shabbos plus 2 days Yom Tov and the kfiyus of this year and this year's Tav Shemem and Mem Aleph and then the date and the Chav Beis B'Chodesh or Yud B'Chodesh Yud Aleph Nasiri Kodesh. You see B'Muchesh the Rebbe felt that the Avodas Hashem that he's doing is affecting all the olamas. The Rebbe lived mamish this word to the Baal Shem Tov. That my Avodas Hashem, all the elements are standing on my Avodas Hashem, and it's my responsibility. And not only that the Eibush is waiting to kiss me. And Mamela, I have to do something. In the same time, I wasn't Tachas in the Aniva and the Bittel. So l'chaim to this wonderful day, which is Nas Hashivim, which the Rebbe shows us this way. The Rebbe shall helfen take that we should be the opposite of Sanusa Shel Zachariah, and in our Avodas Hashem, and Mamela we should be proud, and we should feel the achrayus in our Avodas Hashem, and Mamela will be zoichet to see the binyan Beis Hamikdash. Amen. Tzoma lecha nashi. In the Shevat from the Rebbe Rayatz, the Rebbe told a story that he heard from his father-in-law. He was a child, he was a baby. His father had an apartment with 2 rooms. One was the bedroom, and the other room was everything else, plus that's where the baby was. So the baby was in the carriage, not a carriage, in the bed. And the Rebbe Rashab was learning Bechavrusa with a good friend, Reb Yaakov Mordechai Bespalov. He was a Rav in the city of Poltava, it was a Chosh of the city, and he was a good friend of the Rebbe Rashab. They learned together that Bechavrusa. They were sitting by night. They had a kviyus. By night they would sit and learn. So they were sitting. There was only 2 rooms. They had the same room where the baby was sleeping. They were sitting and learning. And it was the middle of the night, and Rabbi Yaakov Mordechai Bespalov looked at the baby, the Rebbe Rayatz, and he turned to his friend, the Rebbe Rashab, and he said, "I could see he was a very beautiful child, a Yiddish upon him, and a lichtik upon him. And he said, I could see this child has Torah Machshava. This kid is pure. So the Rebbe Rashab said that he was nesoided in a cheshek to go over and kiss his child, the baby. He decided not to. He was not going to kiss the child. When his Chava left, instead of going to sleep, like how many hours is he already getting? He's going to wake up Alois Hashach, and he took away time from their sleeping, and he sat and he wrote a Maimah Chassidus, Maraba Masach Hashem. He put it away, and when his child was 8 years old, he gave it to him as a gift. And he said, "Das is a Chassidische Kuss. This is a Chassidische kiss. And when you'll get older, I will explain it to you." The year of his bar mitzvah, he explained to his son. He told him the whole thing, that I had a cheshek to give you a kiss when you were a baby, a cute kid. And Chava told me, he saw your face, Torah Machshava, and I decided to give you a Chassidische Kuss instead, and this is the Maimer. So, I mean, the story is a very powerful story, a lot of chinuch in it. Agav, there was another story that the Rebbe told him the same thing, that Chassidische Kush, we have a Chassidische Patch, another story. But the Rebbe Rayatz, yeah, he was a little child. His father called him. He said, "I want to hear you say the Birchas Tzitzis." So he said, "I already said it." His father said, "No, it doesn't matter. I want to hear you say the Birchas Tzitzis." So John said, "I can't say it. I already said it." So he gave him a light patch. He said that was the only patch he got from his father. And he started to cry. He said, if you have to say brachas because the Eibishter said to say brachas, I already said the bracha. And if I have to say bracha because you say, he didn't finish his sentence. So his father told him that the Eibishter said that we should make the bracha on the tzitzis. The Eibishter also appointed the father to mechanech every child. Therefore, the child has to listen to his father. So we were just talking about the Rebbeinu Shalom waiting to give a kiss to the Yid, and what is a Chassidische Kush? How you the energy, how you channel the energy of a Chassidische Kush. The next story that the Rebbe brings from the Maggid in Behem Shechamayim is that the Maggid said, there's a Torah that Rebbe kocht in a lot. The Rebbe happened to brought this Torah many times. That there's a Shaila that Chazal say that when the Yidden saw the Eibishter Bayam, nidmahem kebocher, the Sinna nidmahem kezoken. When they saw the Eibishter on Yam Suf, he seemed like a young guy, kebocher, oisem ochamas. And when they saw him on the Sahar Sinai, kezoken molarachmim. So the Maggid asked, how can you ein ledmus haguf, ein eguf, loirisim kol tamuna? It says, the Torah says, loirisim lo tmuna, b'im diber. The Eibishter spoke, he didn't see a tamuna. So what does it mean? What is Chazal trying to say? The Maggid says that when you have a child, the parents, the demus of the child is chokuk to the parent. So much so, it says in Merochetz Hashem Etzoyas Benois Tzion. Unbelievable word. That when Benois Tzion are dirty with soya, the Eibishter has to be Rochetz himself, because he gets dirty from their avoidance. So in Merochetz Hashem, he has to clean himself up, because I just want to explain the nakuda over here. If you're driving. Someone decided that you're driving too slow for him. Here in New York, people are nervous. You're driving a little too slow for them. That happens, right? Sometimes you're the one that's in a hurry, but today the other guy's in a hurry. So not only does he do some maneuver, which just about Baruch Hashem, you're all alive, but he's like looking as he wants to give you that look, and you don't want to give him the pleasure of taking it, so you look the other way, whatever. Yeah, shine. The guy moves on. Forget about it. It's not. You probably forgot about it. You didn't even notice. You already trained yourself here in New York, where people are beeping, but you look the other way. You don't even know what's going on. The person is thanking you or angry at you. You look the other way. Right? I hope that's not the way you're treating your wife. So, and definitely, beteva of a normal person, that's not the way they towards their children. Maybe with other people you have to work on yourself, but beteva, that's not the way you are to children. Your child, whatever the face, like the Maggid says, the face of your child is chokuk in you, and if the child shows you a smile, that's chokuk, and if the child is the opposite, that's chokuk in your mind. And because the Eibishter to the Yidden, the Eibishter loves the Yidden like a Ben Yochid, so whatever the Yidden look to the Eibishter, that whatever they look like to the Eibishter, that's chokuk, it's carved into the Eibishter. That's why he said the Maggid, when the Yidden looked at the Eibishter, they saw an image of themselves. Because they went out of Mitzrayim, it's considered, the Nevi'im call it birth. On the Yam Suf, they were like a little child. By the Har Sinai, there was Zokin Zeshekon Chochma. So therefore, when they looked at the Eibishter by Yam Suf, they saw a Nar. When they saw the Eibishter on Har Sinai, they saw Zokin, because they really were looking at themselves, a mirror image of themselves. And the Rebbe says, we see here that Avodas Hashem of a Yid is just like we said before in the Baal Shem Tov, is negeya to the Eibush himself. Other people, what they say, what they do, they don't care. You don't care what people say. What do you care what people say to you? They care. They said. They say. Well, why would you take it to heart? Why do you care what people say? But what's going on by your children? You care. You care a lot. You care if you come home and you sense that your child there's a matzav ruach that's not so good. You care. You care. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter if they're 10 years old or 50 years old. If they're your child, and you feel that their matzav is not good, maduchtach, or the other way, if you feel a simcha by one of your children, you feel very good about it. So the Eibush is that way by Yid. What's going on by Yid is chokuk by the Eibush. That's the word of the Maggid. It's chokuk by the Eibush. Which, so the Rebbe says, this again emphasizes the word of the Baal Shem Tov, that the biggest problem, that the biggest atzatza yetzer is that what we do is inconsequential. What we do is not. Came to Kia Shofar, the Rebbe, you knew the old elements are turning around. Me and you are blowing Shofar. The Amar, you say Sviyas Omer. But if we only knew, Zok the Baal Shem Tov, and this is the word of the Maggid, that really the Eibush is waiting to kiss a Yid that learns a shtickle Torah and David. The Eibush is waiting for us. So we would do it with unbelievable chayas. We do it with a chayas from the simcha beroiv koil. And as I said before, this is mamash you see by the Rebbe. You see mamash by the Rebbe these things were real. And that the Rebbe felt that every Yom Tov, that through the sichos, you can see that that now the mshachas are happening, and even small things. The Rebbe said, we're going to invite the Rabbeim by singing the Nigun on the Rabbeim. It was not a joke, and Ushpizin was not a joke. It was not Shpizin Elohim. The Rebbe used to say, those that could see, could see. If you can't see, but if you could see, you could see. It sounds like the Rebbe thought that there were maybe a couple more people besides him that could see. But those that could see, could see. So we saw Bemuchish, we see this by the Rebbe, that now when we watch a video of the Rebbe, you see Lakus is alive. Lakus is alive. And not only Lakus is alive, you could see this Inyan that everything is that's very important. That's chokuk. The Eibush is waiting for our shtickle Torah. The Eibush is waiting for our tefillah. L'chaim, that we should talk on them in the Zach, in the Shnas Hashivim from the Rebbe, that we should feel this way. That we shouldn't have the Anivas of Zechariah. That fakert. We should have the Geoin Yaakov, and with this we'll be zocher to the Binyan Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. Amen. Hu Elokeinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Mashiachenu, Hu Yeshenu, V'Yigalenu, Ay, 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 Shendes V'Kara, V'Yashminu, V'Chayleimo, Hengel Yisrael, go al pi eschem. Ge precious li well, I can't do. L'chaim lebrocha. Yesterday, I went together with Shmulik. We went to New Jersey. The Moshe Vigder, our librarian here, Baruch Hashem, is doing a terrific job. Bought a house in New Jersey, a block away from Rabbi Kanelsky. And Rabbi Kanelsky came, a hillside, about a hillside. No, hillside. Huh?
Is it as big as Rabbi Kanelsky's house?
Is he as big as Rabbi Kanelsky? So Rabbi Kanelsky came, and I'm telling you, this guy is a living.
He's the only Stramel in the place?
He's the first Stramel, and Rabbi Kanelsky is so happy. You never seen a confident man in your life if you didn't meet Rabbi Kanelsky. And to me, I remember him as a bocher. So, and it was. I just couldn't believe it. He told a few stories. Agav Urcha. He was telling about himself. He said that his father, he was 7 years old. At that time, I think they were living in Riga, and he had a Lubavitcher Chosid, learned the Lubavitcher was his Malamed, teaching him, but now it was legally, couldn't not send him to Shkola, couldn't send him to public school. So his father discussed it with him as a kid. He said, what do you want to do? One of the options his father gave him was that they have a cellar, and they had a whole plan. They had a carpet and a wood and a table on top of the carpet, and I just can't believe there's a person living among us that a year and a half he lived in the cellar. A year and a half. By night he used to go up. He used to sleep in his bed. A year and a half he lived in the cellar. This is a shliach that came to the United States of America when he was a teenager. Didn't know a word of English. I was a shkoch al yoina because yesterday we made a chasana for a very choshev Lubavitcher chosid. Very choshev Lubavitcher chosid. Who was a Rosh Yeshiva, and straight from the chasna I went, and I told Rabbi Kanelsky, we just did the chasna here. He said he was the Rosh Yeshiva that Mamish took care of me when I came to America. Wow. He was a Rosh Yeshiva, made sure I had what to wear. I took care of me like a father. And then just now before I came to Farbrengen, this Rosh Yeshiva called me up to thank me because he had the chasna here. It was a beautiful chasna. I mean, talking great grandchildren and great grandchildren. This place was packed with both families. It was such an interesting simcha. And I told him I went from the Chazah straight, and he said, yeah, I remember all the Russian Talmidim. I took care of the Russian Talmidim, my children. So he said that he was a year and a half in the base. His father, when you have a kid, and he said there was once an incident that they came to the house to search for him, and the Taka didn't find him. They didn't find him. They couldn't figure out what the kid was, but they said the kid was by relatives and he was in Samarkand, but they didn't believe. They wanted to do a search in the house, and he said that when his father came home, he said his wife aged 10 years in a day. So Paul Maimad Nafesh. So they had a family picture, father, mother, son, and daughter. He showed us the picture, and they sent it to an uncle that lived in New York. And they wrote that they should give the picture to the Dedichka, to the Zayda, and tell him that they'd love to see him. It was code word. Bring the picture to Lubavitcher Rebbe and tell him we're desperate to get out from behind the Iron Curtain. So that was Tishrei time, and their uncle came to 770 for Lekach, and they passed by. I don't know. He said the year, but I don't know. You can call him, ask him. Maybe we should have him come in Farbrengen. Yeah. So he said that the Rebbe, his uncle gave the Rebbe the picture. The Rebbe didn't say anything. The Rebbe took it and walked into his room, and he opened the drawer, put it in there, and when he came, he gave him lekach. Didn't say anything. So they got 3 months later. They got a letter saying that Dedichka got the picture, but he didn't reply. he said his father cried. He never saw his father cry that way. His father understood that the Rebbe didn't reply. That they're stuck. More than a year later, they got a letter because they've several times applied that they wanted to leave Russia. They got a letter that their request has been granted. They have 8 days to leave. They had 6 days. They found the flight within 6 days, and they were in Vienna, Israel. We got to America. The uncle gave him back the picture. He told him that the next year, when he came to get lekach, the Rebbe stopped. The Rebbe went to the drawer, opened it up, took the picture, gave it back to him, and the Rebbe said, "I don't need the picture anymore." A short time later is when they were able to get out of Russia. And they got this. He has this picture with him. He shows that unbelievable thing. Agav, I remember he was involved in Bris Avrom. I asked him how many brises. He says he did over 6,000 brises. There's someone in our shul that was zoiche to have a bris, and he became a Baal Tshuva a few years ago. But he has $1 from the Rebbe. How did he have $1 from the Rebbe? Because when he came to America, and his father did a bris with Rabbi Kanelsky. Rabbi Kanelsky brought every person out of bris. He bring them to the Rebbe. He said Sunday he brought 15,000 people to the Rebbe. 15,000. He said one Sunday he was very sick and he didn't show up. After dollars, he gets a phone call. Rabbi Groner, where were you? So he says, "What are you asking? I'm sick. I'm 103 fever. I'm in bed." Okay. 20 minutes later, he gets a call from Rabbi Groner. The Rebbe said you should check the mezuzah in your bedroom. So he said, "But I just checked it." That's what the Rebbe said. So he sent the mezuzah to be checked, and it was possible. And next day, he put a new mezuzah. It was fine. So, Stam, this is, in fact, I was telling this to my children tonight, because Stam, this is like the Frierdiker Rebbe after the war. And finally, when the Chassidim were able to get out of Russia, which was such a project, he asked that every chosset should send. We have a family picture of like my father when he was a little boy, and they took in Ireland because they lived in Ireland. So everyone took. Where is the family? Where Lubavitch have family pictures? They have family pictures because everyone had a picture. Every family.
I said not in the pub.
Huh?
Not in the pub.
I'm not sure. As long as the picture was made. As long as the picture is made. They sent every Lubavitcher family that Frierdiker Rebbe wanted to have on his desk a picture of every chosed. Ki yadua that the Rebbe wanted the same thing. It was like all of a sudden was a thing that the Rebbe said that he wants they should have all the shluchim. They should take the shluchim book and then me and my wife are that age that we remember it was not called the Shluchim book, it was called the Shidduchim book.
Before a fake book, yeah.
This was and they published. There was four telephone books, and Kayadua that the Rebbe's desk was always full of svarim, Molei v'Godush, and the other side tables. It was always mamish nichloas beinenu. That short time, mamish ba'isa yoim, that the Rebbe Chav Zayin Adar, that the Rebbe cleaned up his desk and put all the svarim back and sent back to the library all the svarim. And what did he leave on his desk? He left on the desk, which you can go now to the Rebbe's room and see. It's open on Mondays and Thursdays. It's an unbelievable thing. You can have a shachris there, and you can be mispal after shachris. Yeah, it's open for everybody.
How many hours?
Huh?
How many hours?
They're open for about an hour and a half. It's open. They open up about 9:15 till 11 o'clock.
Only mornings.
No, the Rebbe's Chedi Yechid. It's not library. The Rebbe's room. The room that he ate and slept in and he lived in. And the room that he had angeführt. And the Chidus. Huh?
Only mornings.
Monday, Thursday. Only Monday, Thursday. Huh? I should stop on Mazel.
In the summer.
It's some days is open. Some days you never know. You find out something's open. I try. They lay in the Kriyas Torah. I had a Mazel my
About his
birthday.
house.
No, that's very. But there are also those. There's some days. Sometimes you have to find out. They're sometimes open. My Yom Haledes, I wanted to go very much. And I said, I'll try my luck. I put my hand on the door, it opened. Put my hand on the door, it opened. I'm not telling this to anyone in the, what's it called, someone over there is going to go flying if I say the story.
Nobody was there, just you alone.
Huh? Someone left it open.
You were there alone.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I davened. What I did. And if you look at the Rebbe's desk, there's the 4 books, Sefer Shluchim. So what's the Nekuda? I think to me it's a double posture what the Nakuda is. The Rebbe told a story that the Nakuda was that when you look at someone very strong, the person turns around. When you see Beteva, sometimes you turn around and you see someone just looked at you. And, if you look at someone bistaklus chazoko, they're going to look back. And the Rebbe said that Kol Shkein, the Kavachomer, when a Neshama Klolis thinks about Neshama Protis, so the Neshama Protis thinks back. That's why sometimes a Chosed has a certain Yisodus and thinks about his Rebbe, because the Rebbe at that moment is thinking about him. I think to me it seems Dava Posha. That's why the Rebbe gave back the pictures. I don't need it, because for a while the Rebbe needed the picture. What's up, Shine? He needed the picture because he wanted to look. This is the word. This is the word that the Maggid says that it's chakuke b'machshavta. A yid is chokuk, is ingrained in the machshav of a yid, is ingrained. The neshama of a protis of a yid is ingrained in the neshama klolis, and when the neshama klolis thinks about neshama protis gets a tresel, feels it. The emes is that it goes both ways. Chazal says, it goes both ways. Just like, Moshe who Yisrael like Moshe. It goes in both ways. It talks here in the Maimah, it talks about the Kasha, why is it Tzivus Hashem? So because the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe is in such a darga, much higher than that. Well, Moshe. We're talking about George Shmo, we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. Elamai, whatever's happened by Moshe Rabbeinu is negate to Klal Yisrael. And if Moshe Rabbeinu it was Machadash and Avodas Hashem something, all the Yid in the generation, maybe not in the same extent, but if the Rebbe shows that we have a Achrayis for every Yid, so we have to feel Achrayis every Yid that we meet, doesn't matter why, what, and when. If we meet a Yid, if it's on our block, if it's at work, if it's in the airport, in the mall, doesn't matter what, when, and what. It means we have a Achrayis to schlep this Yid, to make him feel a Yid, first to give a Shmeichel, and that Rebbe type of Shmeichel, and to pick up the Yid. There's no question. And because the Rebbe Shmuel Gronim used to say Oimek Chosed Rebbe, and the Oimek of every Chosed is his Rebbe. So L'chaim, that it goes on both ways. The Rebbe thinks of a Chosed, the Chosed as a Zoza. But we could just like the rope, you can make it move from the top and the bottom, or from the bottom you can make it move. How do we make it move? So we have to make sure that a week doesn't go. This from the Rebbe's Toiris is Gishmak. It's sweeter than honey, and it's Bechol Torah Kula. And in Igris Kodesh you have shilas about life and hashkof for shilas. It's mamish like a moed nevuchim, but not on a moed nevuchim for 1,200 years ago or 800 years ago. It's a moed nevuchim for contemporary questions. Question that me and you have. I learn Igris all the time, and it's like sometimes it's unbelievable. Like the situations that I have and issues that I have. And I find the answer in the Igris Kodesh. I find the answer.
Is it categorized? Where you can look
Yeah, by year. The Rebbe very much wanted his.
Topic-wise.
No, not topic. But no, there's the index. The index, sure. Not only is the index in the beginning, there's always a overview of what the main topics that year the Rebbe was dealing with and the themes that are going on. And the Rebbe was very into that they should publish it. And we have to always, we have the schus to have this unbelievable Toides from the Rebbe.
That's in translation too?
There is a few volumes in translation. The mum is very sweet, and it's different. It's different than a Ktsos and a Nesivus, and it's different. It's a Moed and Nevuchim for today's generation. It's like questions people like me and you, issues, quandaries in life that we have. I'm telling you, I learn it sometimes, and I see Hadrocha in here. So this is the way we're going to pull the string from the bottom. There is sometimes a sodas in the Shama Klolis to the Protis, sometimes in the Protis and the Klolis, that we have to learn Lekutei Torah, no Shaila. But we have to really to answer our Shailas in our Avodas Hashem, and to have a Chayis in our Avodas Hashem is definitely on Lekutei Sichos. We have to make sure there's a Kviyas Itim, that a week doesn't go by, we didn't learn a Frisha, that we didn't learn something fresh in the Lekutei Sichos. L'chaim, l'chaim. Lekutei Torah is a good zach. Lekutei Sichos is the best zach. Lekutei Sichos Tag Nacht. Lekutei Sichos Nacht. Lekutei Sichos is the best zach. Lekutei Torah is a good zach. Lekutei Sichos is the best zach. Dictionary. Lekutei Sichos Tag Nacht. Lekutei Sichos Tag. Lekutei Sichos is the best zach. Lekutei Torah is a good zach. Lekutei Sichos is the best zach. Lekutei Sichos Tag Nacht. Lekutei Sichos Tag Nacht. Lekutei Sichos is the best zach. Afto vechartonu mikolo amim. Afto isanu jatsi savanu verai mavetanu mikolo shaynai bekidashtanu bekedatanu malkeinu lavodasecha b'shimcha gadol v'akodosh aleinu karosai chartanu mikolo amin ahavta sonu v'ratzi savanu ahavta sonu v'ratzi savanu v'rei matanu I was talking to a cousin. I have a cousin. He's been gavra lagavra because he was a truck driver, and then now he's those street crossing guards. But he finishes Shas every year. He tells me, remember Tovshim Mem Zayin? We had a conversation and outside the bathroom on the 70.
Keep it moving.
So he tells me a story, and this is like pile ploim to me. But when my great grandfather was arrested by the KGB, he was sentenced for 3 years. That was connected with when the Friedrich was arrested. He was very scared because he thought that had shaykhs to him. It turned out it wasn't really a shaykhs to him. But when the Friedrich was able to leave Russia, he was able to take his family with him. So he asked my great-grandmother that he would, Kilu, this is his family. And she said, but I can't, how can I leave my husband? How can I leave my husband? She didn't listen. Frierdiker Rebbe said, come, and she didn't come. And then, as soon as the Frierdiker Rebbe was out of Russia, he asked one of the secretaries, he knew that my Zayda had a sister that moved in America years earlier. She lived in Brooklyn. And she write her a letter that she should go to congressmen and senators all Sturm in the Welt to get her brother out of prison. And then she should try to send certificates for him to get him out of Russia. The kids, she got him out of prison earlier than his, and she was able to get, but for Epis she was able to get only one or two, because they had a few little kids. It was like my Zayd and his brother, and the other one, they had three little kids, and the kids said they were short. They were short. Whatever. Just from the story, that obviously, da folgen. But okay, we say who are we to judge? But I'm just thinking about the gewaltige Avas Yisrael, Poshet, that the Rabbi cared for every year, not only in the global to build moistus, but Poshet cared for the well-being for every single yid. Poshet and Etzem and Nefesh cared Poshet for every yid. And I know Kayadu about the Rebbe that Poshet cared about Yidden to have parnasa. Remember you were saying once about a guy who needed a medallion.
Yeah, in the 60s.
There was a lot of people that had this. My Zayda had a hard time with parnasa. And he started a business, women's, what's it called? Pocketbooks. You know, versteht women's pocketbooks. Yeah, women's accessories. But the Rebbe asked him if he could be a shutef. Okay. He used to bring the profits to the Rebbe every month. And then I've listened to him and I've told my grandfather, you take money from my Rebbe? How do you take money from my Rebbe? So the next month he brought the profits and he brought the whole thing back. That was the end of the business.
He left everything.
He gave back the Rebbe his money, and after that the business went belly up.
So you see what the opposite.
You don't listen to him.
That's not the only story why not to listen, but ich don't listen. In the Indian of Tzivus Hashem, the Rebbe brings in the Maimer that the Frierdiker Rebbe said that Tzava means three things. Tzava means Chayil, an army. Tzava means Eizman Mugbul, Aloi Tzva Le'enesh Alei Oretz. And number three is Maloshen Tzivyan V'yoifi, beauty. He connects all the three pshatim. We'll learn about this. Now we're going to do the Avodah Dik of the Maimer. Tomorrow night we'll finish those that we're learning together, the Maimer. There's a Sikha from the Rebbe that the Rebbe says, unbelievable Sikha. Did you see this? It's in the Sofas here. The Rebbe said that L'choyre, the two pshatim in Tzava, that it's Zman Mugbul and beauty, Frierdiker Rebbe is Mazba Barichas and Perek Yud. And the other thing that it's Chayil, he leaves for Perek Yud Aleph. He leaves over for Perek Yud Aleph. Why? Unbelievable thing. The Rebbe has a whole biur that it was 10 years since the Istalkas Hilula of his father-in-law, and he says that the whole Indian in Perek Yud Aleph is that the Frierdiker Rebbe explains that the main thing in Tzochan, to win, is something very deep in a person, to have the upper hand to win. For a melech to win a war, it's not just it's not only a war economy. It's negay and etzem and nefesh. He has to win over his enemy. And for this, he mevazves all his oitzres. He give everything away. Same thing l'mayla. And it's tzochan of the macham against the Yetzirah is negay to the eibishter be'etzem and nefesh. And it's midas hanetzach. And therefore, mitzada and the mevazves all the oitzres, and they give it to the anshe chayil, to the foot soldiers. They're not giving it to have fancy vacations for the generals. No. The money they're spending, push it for military stuff. Billions of dollars is sending for equipment for the military, push it for the foot soldiers, for the pilots, for the Navy. and they give everything. The melech and mezvazves, all the oitzes, takes loans. And the Rebbe says, "Saducht Senor," and no one used the oitzes. Where did they use the oitzes? Where did they use? Not for begashmis, and not for beruchnis. That is not kunst. That Yid is a kol yochel, that there was so much koiches, and they could not use it. So the Friediger was merames that fourth and year in the next year Yud Aleph, someone's a choveken. So I'm learning the sikha today. I'm shaking. This mamish is negei to us shnas hashiva more than the. It's very. It's
In our time.
yeah. This is it's negei to us to know that we have a lot of koiches. We have a lot of koyach, and the brachas are very strong. We have a lot of koiches, and we have to use it. We have to use it. We have to use.
This is the 11th year?
Yeah, in the fourth cycle of learning the right. So there have been 70 years that we're learning already Basalagani, and this is the fourth cycle. We're going into the from the 10th to the 11th Pedic. Agav in the nicht Agav. Komm machen Lachaim. Agav noch singen an Niggen. Lachaim. Ufaratsta, Yama Vakema, Vaina Vanegba, Ufaratsta, Yama Vakema, That's a fine L'chaim. There's a big Yisodus now, Shnas Hashivim, and it should be, it's big. It's 70 is at Mitzvah Sholem, and the Alter Rebbe said to his brother that Avodas Hashem, today's Mashiach is Keini Knizi V'Kadmoini, the Moichin. Today is so it's the Shleimus, we did the Shleimus of Basa Legani, that's it, it's over. Elamai, it's up to us. And there's unbelievable Yisodus. There's unbelievable Yisodus today in Chabad. You see all over. There's an unbelievable Yisodus this year. That's a minion that there's everyone's sitting and learning this Maimah here. The Olam was learning Sunday night the Maimah Bosa Lagani. People are learning it a lot. People are davening with it. People are thinking about it. People are learning it. And what's the whole point of this Maimah? The whole point of the Maimah is about the Rebbeinu Shalom is Ein Aroich. The final Knack. I'm talking about the first Maimah. Ein Aroich. The Gewalt. In this world, we have the Ein Aroich and the Eibishter. It's like a very deep Nakuda. Ein Aroich and the Eibishter. So, Bekitzer, we got to do something. The Rebbe, we know in the Shnat, when there was the Rebbe's Yom Haledes in 70 years, the Rebbe said that those that want to give him a gift, they should give it in the Mispar of 70. The Rebbe wanted there should be 71 new institutions. Could you imagine today, Chabad Baruch Hashem has the big thing the Rebbe wanted. You know what that teaches you? Like how much, that was the big thing then, 71 moistus. The Rebbe was never miyayish. He'd say, wow, 71 moistus, you're going to conquer the world with 71 moistus. a kindergarten and a mikveh and another school. You're gonna conquer the world with 71 mice. But you see, the Rebbe didn't think that way. 71 mice, and then it grew into 707,000. And this.
Then to move out was a chiddush who moved out. To
Right.
get 71 people to get out of Crown Heights was the bigger than
To get 71 people to walk up Kingston Avenue. Yeah. Now, Bekitzer, that's what we have to do. We have to, if we're tomorrow, we have to give tzedakah. It should be in the Mispera Shivim, 71 pennies, $71, $71,000.
71 turns.
Atazai, Achlotas Toivis, in the, we're going to get 71 Yidden to put on film. We'll get 71 women to light Shabbos candles. Well, we can make the plan over. It doesn't have to be overnight. We'll share at Dvar Torah, a Geschmack Avort, to 71 Yidden. We'll bring a Simcha to 71, whatever it is. We should make Achlotas Toivis. We know that there's a Sikha in the Rebbe, in Yud Beis Tammuz, Tov Shin Chavov, a beautiful Farbrengen. Which Farbrengen is not? Every Farbrengen is beautiful. But that's the way when you get into Farbrengen, from the Rebbe's Farbrengens. So the Rebbe said that how do you know the word of Hashem Tov said, "Kodesh Megillah L'Mafreya Lo Yotza." If you the Megillah to you is a story that happened 2,000 years ago is Lo Yotza. Has to be that it's happening now. It's select. So the Rebbe said, how do we know the Geula of Yud Beis Tammuz is something which is L'Mafreya? It happened many years ago. Or it happened now. The Rebbe said, we'll walk in 770 tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. If you see that Yid came out of the Farbrengen and Yud Beis Tammuz, a new person, or Kaponim is a different person, so we know that by him, Yud Beis Tammuz is not Alta Shmatas, it's not L'Mafreya, it's happening now. But if Yud Beis Tammuz comes and Yud Beis Tammuz goes, and the person is the same person and nothing changed, so we know that's Kodesh Amagil L'Mafreya, it happened L'Mafreya. So I'm talking now to myself, I get very excited. I get excited because when I learn it comes before like a Yom, like Yud Beis Tammuz, Yud Shevat. I learned the Maimah of Basa Lagani. It's very exciting to me. But then it's like, what's next, like the deli line. Next. But that can't be that way. It has to be that there's a Hazoza, and there's a brilliant, this word, Hazoza, brilliant word. Doesn't mean that we climb the Empire State Building. It means that there's a movement. There's a movement. In Shmira Shabbos, there's a movement. There's a movement in our Shivas and Shmira Shabbos. In the Moshe this year, there are a few things that we learned about. We kocht in the Alter Rebbe, the davening Shmones. It's very hard. The Shliach Tzibur is talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom to listen to every word. It's like who can listen to the Chag? Your mind wanders off. You're here all of a sudden. You're in China. You're in Mexico. You're all over the place. But to Hazoza, that the davenings with more of a seriousness and the trachten avort chassidus and to gadlus akel to think about the taka avort chassidus by davening, all the things that we know we need to do that should be with the Hazoza. L'chaim. Really, it rubs off. It's the soidus that's terei Chabad. Is a big yisodus. The Eibush should help it to rub off because together we do together. The avodas Hashem. You may say Shnayim b'moitus. L'chaim. No, which songs from the Rebbe's Nigurim didn't we do yet? Hanem Zmiris, we didn't do it. Oh yeah, Hanem Zmiris. For the gala. There's a Farbrengen Shabbos Mevorchim Tovshin Yudalef Mevorchim Shevat. You want a little bit more l'chaim? It's good, it's good, it's good. When we have it together, it's really good. L'chaim. Give me a little more. As the night goes on, it gets tastier.
Yeah, it breathes a little more.
Yeah. Moshe, remember what's l'chaim?
It doesn't work with whiskey, unfortunately. I tried it.
Yeah.
It's like sitting.
L'chaim, the bracha.
Perception versus reality.
What's reality?
L'chaim.
The Rebbe told a story. He said, we see Moifsim from the father-in-law. That's unbelievable. I love those stories. But the Rebbe tells Moifsim from his father-in-law. And the Rebbe says that he come in a younger man, and he had kidney stones. The Rebbe said they wouldn't have avonim toivus margolius. He had poshtav on him, and in the wrong place. Not in the pocket, he had it in the kidneys. And he went to a doctor who advised him to do a procedure. Tafshin Yudalef. The procedure then was a little different than today. 1951. And he came, and he come in some Rebbe. The Rebbe the Shrei, you know. He came to the Rebbe. But the Rebbe's telling it as if it's a story from the, I love those stories. The Rebbe tells it as if.
Why did she do that way then?
Why? Because the Rebbe didn't. The Rebbe didn't see it as
his story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the Rebbe was faking. I think
No,
the Rebbe really felt it that way. So the Rebbe said the younger man was told not to worry and don't worry, everything will be good. But the younger man didn't trust what he was told. So he went to the doctor to procedure. They helped from the Eibishter that the doctor was away in Florida on vacation. And by the time the doctor came back, the kidney stones already passed.
Wow.
And the Rebbe says, you see, Yatim b'chayoyim, I see Moifstim today from the Rebbe. I mean, there's no shayla. People today are going to the oil and they're saying Moifstim gluyim. But Agav Urcha, since we're talking about, and the Rebbe at that time, at that Sikha said, that young light have to understand that they have to listen to the Rosh of the Rebbe. The Rebbe took it all out of Chaim then. The Rebbe said from my Zayda, as Chonyet gesagt, that when you want to say, you want to sometimes tell a friend something, it has to it's a little ashtech, but you want to tell them l'toivosoi, so you take a lot of l'chaim, and it looks like you're drunk anyways. He says, I'm shaking, he said it. But in the meantime, you tell him something that, it's important for him to hear. And I have also a nest with stones, kidney stones, a nest. I had kidney stones, taka, it was not fun. And this was a couple of years ago. And was tut it was taka not fun. So I called my Zayd, that was right before Hey Tavis. I was in bed, I was terrible. And but my Zayd used to come every year to Farbrengen my house for Hey Tavis. So he said, yeah, sure, I'll come. But when he came, I got out of bed. I went downstairs to sit down for Farbrengen. My Zayda wouldn't stop. He kept on giving me l'chaim and l'chaim. I drank so much. I went to the bathroom.
Wow.
Oh, you see what happens? So you see, Amamish, if I bring together the koyach of Chassidus Farbrengen that we're sitting together is unbelievable. It's Ein L'Shayr. You feel, like I said, you feel in the nash that there's this unbelievable isoidus for Shivim Shana, So even if I don't feel I'm going to connect to this project or that project, that's not negating which project. There's like they're making this project now that everyone's going to look with the sikhs. So I don't connect to that project, but it gives me service in the limud of the Torahs. And B'chlal in emulating the Rebbe's avodas Hashem and doing what the Rebbe wanted from us. So l'chaim, we're sitting together. It's a moedeke, it's a zach that we're sitting together. Was chassidische Farbrengen ruft an Malach Mechol kann ruft an. Rebbe shall helfen the Take that the bizbus oitzes that we should translate it. Money in the bank. Bona chayim zoyna revicha begashmias. And Posha Begashmias, that for all the Yidden here in Beis Menachem Mendel and all Klal Yisrael, is saying good Posha Begashmias, but Bonachayim is eine Reviche. And Bekolshiken V'Kal V'Choyimber, that it should be good Beruchnias, the whole Avodas Hashem should be with a Simcha, and with a Chayes, and with a Geschmack. And we should take a see, V'Sachazenu Einene B'Shuv Chalatziyim Berachmim. L'chaim.
Spiritual tender. Not tender, spiritual tender.
Good. Yeah, Shamil's nigga. Moshe, can you start Shamil's nigga?
You say, Rabbi, should I like to somebody?
I think we should make a bracha achroina.
That's a good idea. Some people want that more.
Yeah. Do we have a minion with David
Who didn't know?
Did she get them? I did that. So we have two of us. Anyone else needs a minion?
Stick around for you.
Oh, we got three.
No?
Anyone else need a David?
There's another person who can't. Oh, he's gone.
Oh.
Everybody else? Everybody's coming?
Yifrach b'yom of tzadi, v'rek shalom at v'yareya. Yifrach b'yom of tzadi, v'rek shalom at v'yareya. V'yifrach b'yom of ning nahar v'rek baba v'yelachecho. The Yatrimamna Karne Sadik Vechol Karne Rishoyi Agade Yatrimamna Karne Sadik Allah b'tzidot it's Israel v'val b'shboshet Allah b'yotz it's Israel v'chol karnei rishoyim agadei v'mamna karnei sadik v'chol karnei rishoyim agadei v'mamna karnei sadik Allah, Yotz, it's Nizra.